And that's exactly why you're staring at your phone at 2 a.m., wondering if the person lying next to you is actually with you, or if they're just using you to fill a void in their own life. You feel it in your gut, don't you? That cold, creeping sensation that you're an option, not a priority. You've been making excuses for their distance, their busy schedule, and their fear of labels for months. But here is the hard truth you're terrified to face. Some men will stay in your life for years without ever intending to give you a place in their heart. They won't leave because you're convenient, but they won't love you because they're already gone. By the end of this video, you won't just have signs. You'll have the psychological blueprint to see exactly where you stand, so you never have to guess again. I know exactly what your Tuesdays look like. You get a text after 8 p.m. It's charming, it's sweet, it's just enough to make you forget the 3 days of silence that came before it. You spend hours analyzing every comma and emoji with your friends, trying to find a hidden meaning that confirms he cares. You're exhausted. You're playing a high-stakes game of emotional chess while he isn't even looking at the board. You feel like if you just try a little harder, cook the right meal, or give him enough space, he'll finally have that aha moment and commit. It's a lonely, draining cycle that makes you feel crazy, isn't it? But you aren't crazy. You're being managed, and the longer you stay, the more your self-esteem erodes until you don't even recognize the person in the mirror. You start to doubt your own value, questioning if you are too much or not enough, when the reality is that you are simply being drained by a person who has no intention of pouring back into you. Here is what nobody tells you. He isn't confused. He isn't traumatized by his ex or waiting for his career to peak before he can love you. The real psychological truth is much harsher. He is using your empathy as a weapon against you. In psychology, this is known as intermittent reinforcement. He gives you just enough affection to keep your dopamine levels spiking, then withdraws it to keep you chasing. You think you're building a foundation, but he's just renting a room. The common belief is that if a man stays, he must like you. The truth? A man will stay with a woman he has zero respect for simply because he likes the way she makes his life easier. He isn't stuck, he's comfortable. And comfort is the enemy of commitment. What nobody tells you is that men don't leave a good thing just because they aren't ready. They stay in a good thing until something they perceive as better comes along. The first sign is that he treats your life like a menu, not a mission. He is hyper-selective about which parts of your life he participates in. He's there for the fun parts, the physical intimacy, the late-night venting sessions, the ego strokes, but he's a ghost the moment things get heavy or boring. If he only loves you when you're easy to love, he isn't loving you at all. He's consuming you. Think about the last time you were truly overwhelmed. Maybe you had a family crisis or a massive project at work. Did he step up? Or did he suddenly have a lot on his plate, too? For example, you have a terrible day at work and need to talk. Suddenly, he's falling asleep or has a big meeting tomorrow. But the next night, when you're feeling playful and dressed up, he's all over your notifications. What you should do is stop being convenient. The next time you need emotional support, ask for it directly and specifically. I need you to come over and just sit with me while I process this. Watch how fast he exits. A man who is using you cannot handle the cost of a real relationship. Before we move on, I want you to really sit with that. If you stopped providing the benefits, would he still provide the presence? Sign number 2. He is future-phobic, but present perfect. He creates a beautiful bubble when you're together. He's charming, he listens, he makes you feel like the only person in the world. But the second you mention next month's wedding or a trip in the summer, he freezes. A man who won't plan a future with you is busy planning a future without you. This is a subtle form of psychological manipulation called future faking in reverse. Instead of promising a future he won't give, he refuses to acknowledge one even exists to keep his options open. For example, you mention a concert 3 months away. Instead of saying, "Let's go," he says, "That sounds cool. Let's see how things are closer to the date." He's keeping his calendar open for a better offer. What you should do is stop accepting "we'll see." If someone can't commit to a Saturday night 3 weeks from now, they aren't committed to you. Period. Sign number 3. You are his free therapist. This is a trap many empathetic, high-value people fall into. He tells you all his trauma, his dark secrets, and his workplace drama. You feel special because he's opening up to you in a way he says he doesn't with anyone else. The claim here is simple. Vulnerability without progression is just emotional dumping. He spends 2 hours crying on your shoulder about his childhood, making you feel like his soulmate. But the next day, he doesn't text to see how you are. He used you to regulate his emotions, then threw the tissue away. You've become an emotional dumpster for his baggage, but he isn't helping you carry yours. What you should do is set a boundary. Notice if the deep conversations are always about him. If he's getting free therapy from you, he has no incentive to actually be your partner because you're already providing the highest level of intimacy for free. Wake up. Trauma bonding isn't the same thing as building a life. Sign 4. He operates in the shadows. He's great behind closed doors, but you're a secret in the real world. You haven't met the inner circle, the mom, the best friend from college, the boss. If you aren't integrated into his life, you are a placeholder. You've been seeing each other for 6 months, but you've never been to his house, or he always has an excuse why you can't meet his friends. He's keeping his real life and his pleasure life in 2 separate boxes. He might tell you he values his privacy, but the real reason is that he doesn't want to have to explain your absence when he eventually moves on. What you should do is demand integration. If he refuses to introduce you to the people who matter after a reasonable amount of time, it's because he knows you won't be around long enough for it to matter. Sign 5. He never invests anything he can't get back. He might spend money, but he won't spend effort. He might give you time, but only when it's leftover time. A man who is using you will never sacrifice his comfort for your needs. He'll buy dinner because he has to eat too, but he won't drive an hour out of his way to pick you up when your car breaks down. He will offer Netflix and chill because it's free and easy, but he won't take you on a real date that requires reservations and a suit. Investment is about sacrifice. If there is no sacrifice, there is no value. What you should do is watch the effort, not the income. Stay with me, because we've covered the how, but we haven't covered the why. You're probably thinking, but he says he loves me, or he's just going through a hard time. I'm about to tell you the one thing he will never admit. The psychological golden nugget that explains why he stays even when he doesn't care. Stay with me, because this next one changes everything you think you know about his silence. Here it is. The truth that will hurt, but will also set you free. He isn't afraid of commitment. He is just afraid of losing access to you while he waits for what he actually wants. To him, you are a safety net. You are the person who keeps his ego fed, his bed warm, and his loneliness at bay while he keeps his eyes on the horizon for the one. He doesn't want to be mean. He doesn't want to be the bad guy. So he will stay in the gray area forever. He will give you 15% of himself because he knows that 15% is enough to keep you giving him 100%. He isn't broken. He's just using your light to guide him until he finds someone else's. He will never admit he's using you because, in his mind, he's being nice by not breaking up with you. But keeping someone you don't want is the most selfish thing a human being can do. It is a slow theft of your time, your youth, and your capacity to love someone who actually wants you. You deserve more than being someone's maybe. You deserve to be the person someone is terrified of losing, not the person they're keeping around until the lease is up. Stop auditing his behavior and start auditing your own worth. If you spend your life waiting for him to change, you are essentially volunteering for a position that isn't even open. Which of these 5 signs hit you the hardest in your gut? And what is one boundary you are going to set today to protect your heart? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. If you're wondering why you keep attracting people like this in the first place, you need to watch this next video on the 3 childhood traits that make you a magnet for users. I'll see you over there.